Three numbers. Every ancient culture on Earth, exactly the same. Not roughly the same, not approximately. The exact same numbers, worldwide. Civilizations separated by oceans and centuries. All recorded the very same three numbers. A clay tablet from ancient Babylon. A modern scientific calculator from a physics lab. Both display the exact same number, 432,000. This is not a coincidence someone spotted in old texts. This is a code embedded into the very foundation of human civilization itself. Period. A world map lights up. Dots appear in Egypt, Cambodia, Mexico, India, Scandinavia, every continent on Earth. Cultures with absolutely nothing in common. No ships capable of crossing those distances, no shared language, no trade routes, no documented contact of any kind between any of these peoples. In 1969, a researcher sat down with ancient texts from multiple civilizations and found the exact same numbers repeating throughout every single one. His colleagues said he was inventing patterns. Then more data came in. More cultures, more matches. The same numbers kept appearing again and again. Either the data is wrong or history is incomplete, missing an entire chapter that nobody has managed to fully explain, not even today. But here is where things get truly strange. This same number appeared in a completely unrelated system with no obvious reason to contain it. This was no longer just a theory. This was a hard anomaly, and anomalies have a habit of pulling everything else apart at the seams. Case File 1, India and Babylon. A researcher places two ancient texts side by side and finds the exact same number written in both. Hindu cosmology, the Kali Yuga, the age we live in right now, lasts exactly 432,000 years. Not approximately, exactly. Historian Berossus, writing in the 3rd century BCE, recorded that 432,000 years passed from the creation of kingship to the Great Flood. Two civilizations, two different texts, two completely unrelated purposes, one identical number. The researcher stared at the page and thought, this simply cannot be right. Case File 2, Norse mythology. Valhalla has exactly 540 doors. Through each one, 800 warriors march out to battle at Ragnarok. 540 times 800 equals 432,000. Viking poets encoded an exact astronomical calculation inside their greatest epic war myth. Case File 3, the Great Pyramid at Giza. Researchers measure its base perimeter using the unit ancient Egyptians themselves used, the royal cubit. Multiply the pyramid base perimeter by 43,200. The result matches Earth polar circumference, accurate to within 0.2%. 43,200 is half of 86,400, the exact seconds in one day. The pyramid is calibrated to time. Now the database is overflowing. The pattern keeps showing up in architecture, in mythology, in calendar systems, across cultures that never once met. Scientists start to argue. One team says independent discovery. Another says the matches are too specific to be accidental. Nobody has a clean answer. At this point, it has stopped being a pattern. It has become a problem, a real scientific problem with no agreed-upon solution in sight. And then came the second number, harder to explain, appearing in places that made even the most hardened skeptics pause and reconsider everything. This is where you realize you are not looking at isolated coincidences anymore. You are looking at a deliberate, precise, and fully global system. Picture Earth's axis as a giant spinning top that wobbles very, very slowly. One full wobble takes approximately 25,920 years. This wobble is called the precession of the equinoxes. Because of it, the entire star map above your head slowly but measurably shifts over time. The universe is a giant clockwork, and 72 is its pulse. Every 72 years, the sky drifts exactly 1 degree against the background of stars. 25,920 divided by 360 degrees equals exactly 72 years per degree. The math is clean. The astronomy is real. 1 degree every 72 years, slower than a tree grows. Detecting this drift requires centuries of careful, continuous, and completely unbroken sky records. So who kept those records? Standard archaeology says the earliest known writing is 5,000 years old, not nearly long enough to detect precession. And yet 72 appears encoded in myths from cultures that, according to standard history, could not possibly have measured it independently on their own. Egypt. Set requires exactly 72 conspirators to murder Osiris. Not 70, not 75, precisely 72, in the most sacred myth of Egyptian religion. 3 times in the Bible, 72 elders accompany Moses. 72 scholars translate the Septuagint. Jesus sends out exactly 72 disciples. 1 number, 3 stories. Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Archaeoastronomer Eleanor Manica spent years measuring the complex and published a landmark 1996 study confirming 72 in its proportions. Then researchers found something that changed the direction of inquiry. Ancient sources did not just use these numbers, they seemed to understand them. There is a real conflict happening in history departments right now. 2 competing models of the ancient world, and they cannot both be correct. Theory 1. Independent discovery. Multiple cultures watching the sky for centuries independently worked out the same measurements. On the surface, this sounds perfectly reasonable. Precession is observable if you are patient, careful, and if your civilization survives long enough to accumulate the necessary centuries of continuous observational data. Some researchers find this explanation fully satisfying. Humanity is clever. Given enough time and enough sky watching, we figure things out. That is a fair point. But independent discovery cannot explain why the numbers are identical, not similar, not close, across cultures with 0 documented contact between them. Theory 2 comes from MIT professor Giorgio de Santillana. He and his colleague Dr. Hertha von Deschen spent 20 years writing a single book. That book, published in 1969, is called Hamlet's Mill. Its central argument is one of the most unsettling ideas in the history of scholarship. De Santillana argued that ancient mythologies, Norse, Sumerian, Hindu, Mayan, are not stories. They are encoded astronomical databases. The myths are the data. 72 was not religious symbolism. It was a precise measurement of precession, wrapped in narrative so it could outlast the civilization that found it. They hid science inside myths so the knowledge would survive. Think of gold hidden inside furniture. The furniture gets passed down. The gold always survives. Neither theory is fully satisfying. Independent discovery cannot explain the precision. Transmission cannot explain the source. No consensus was ever reached. The argument continues, but one detail remained that no theory could account for. Not independent discovery, not cultural transmission. And it has everything to do with timing. The numbers match across systems built at different times, in different places, for entirely different purposes. The overlap is not thematic, it is strictly mathematical. So researchers start asking a different question. Not, did cultures find precession independently, but who first discovered it, and exactly how long ago? Standard history places civilizations beginning roughly 5,000 years ago. But detecting precession requires centuries of records. That timeline simply does not add up. Researchers argue we are not searching for the mythological Atlantis. We are looking for an older tradition, sky watchers who kept records for many millennia. Every new discovery made the pattern stronger, never weaker. More temples, more texts, more calendar systems, all pointing to the exact same 3 numbers. The Maya long count calendar tracks astronomical cycles millions of years ahead. Think about that. Farmers in a jungle with a multi-million-year schedule. December 21st, 2012, the Mayan end date, was not an apocalypse prediction. It marked completion of one full 25,920-year cycle. Angkor Wat is not just a temple. Researchers confirmed it aligns to astronomical events that shift predictably with precession. It tracks the great year. Modern satellites and atomic clocks now confirm these numbers with precision. The same results the ancients encoded thousands of years ago. They got there first. The data does not fit standard history. This knowledge appears too early in too many locations, with precision that exceeds what the accepted timeline allows. The numbers sit inside myths, inside temples, inside ancient calendars, not approximate, not symbolic, exact, verifiable, and fully reproducible measurements of the night sky. At some point, the question itself changed. It was no longer, is this coincidence? It became something more uncomfortable. What exactly are we missing here? What if we are not the peak of human intelligence, but survivors of a long amnesia, inheritors of knowledge we no longer fully understand? The field studying all of this is called archaeoastronomy. It has peer-reviewed journals and university departments. This is not fringe science. It is legitimate scholarship. Its central finding, ancient cultures worldwide were sophisticated astronomical observers. They tracked long cycles. They encoded the results, and they used the same numbers. John Anthony West spent decades analyzing Egyptian mathematics. His conclusion, the Great Pyramid encodes 43,200 as a deliberate and precise scaling factor. De Santillana called the global repetition of these numbers the most remarkable fact in the entire history of human knowledge. His colleagues remained unconvinced. Mainstream archaeology says independent observation explains the matches. Given enough time, intelligent sky watchers around the world naturally and separately reach the same astronomical conclusions. The disagreement is real. The evidence is real. No interpretation has won. Both sides have published data. Neither side has a truly complete explanation. Back to the beginning. Three numbers: 432,000, 72, 25,920, all connected, all describing the exact same cosmic phenomenon. Precession of the equinoxes, 25,920 years per cycle, 72 years per degree. 432,000 equals exactly 6 full cycles. Valhalla, the Kali Yuga, the Great Pyramid, Angkor Wat, the Mayan calendar, the Bible. 6 completely separate traditions pointing at the same celestial clock. Think of it as a message in a bottle thrown into time itself 10,000 years ago. We just cracked it open, still reading. The night sky rotates, invisibly, slowly, 1 degree every 72 years. Full circle, 25,920. The ancient clock still runs. Whether independent discovery, cultural transmission, or something far older, the numbers are in the myths, in the temples, in the calendars. Still waiting. Coincidence or a warning? Which number convinces you most? Tell us in the comments. At Beyond Explained, we follow the questions. Subscribe now.